The data shows us that a drunk driver drives drunk 7 times before they get caught. Or in other words, they get away with it 6 out of 7 times.
Atomic Souls Podcast.
I distinctly remember when we had our car accident, which was like 10 years ago.
I was just thinking
We
the
had
same
first
thing.
met you, and you're like, so I don't usually go after people after like the initial like support.
Right.
But I am suggesting that we do go after them in court, and we had declined it. But I'm always, because that was an intense case.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
What was a scenario where they were a threat to the public?
Yeah.
I remember those details very definitively.
5 prior
and it was-
DWIs,
yeah, it was
2
like,
manslaughter
look,
convictions.
we're not doing this for you anymore. Like, they are a threat.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember that case. It was so coming from having been hit by a drunk driver, I do have an extra passion on those cases, and I keep getting hired by these family members that their friends, family themselves are getting hit by drunk drivers, and it's just every time it happens, it's like this is so unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's one thing if somebody runs through a stoplight, they take their eyes off the road or something. It's like this momentary lapse of judgment. But for a drunk driver, there's a long series of events that line up in order for that crash to have happened.
Yeah.
And, it started with when they decided to go out to drink that day, that night, whatever, and didn't make a plan for how they were going to safely get home.
Or even before that, if they are an alcoholic, like
For sure.
they're addicted to drinking. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a case right now in San Antonio where a family was very seriously injured. And it was the drunk driver's at least second. We found one prior incident, and it's just we just see slap on the wrist after slap on the wrist, and there's a whole industry built around defending DWIs. There's and everybody should have an adequate defense on their criminal charges, but we just see too many. Probation for 6 months and deferred adjudication so you don't have a conviction.
Yeah.
Why is it like that? Why do you think that there's not harsher punishment for that?
So there's a saying with DWI defense that the defense attorneys use, and they don't say this expressly to the jury, but the defense theory is there, but for the grace of God go I, for the jurors. And so the data shows us that a drunk driver drives drunk 7 times before they get caught. Or in other words, they get away with it 6 out of 7 times. And some of them probably more than that, some people less. But there's a good chance that a member or 2 or multiple members of the jury have gotten their free rides home and didn't get caught.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to be harsh and judge somebody who is just doing what they've done.
Yeah.
And there's an even greater chance that the members of the jury have, friends, family, who have gotten caught up in a DWI in the past, and they don't think that they're a horrible, evil criminal. And the circumstances happen, and we just have this mentality of like this is just something that happens, and we just accept it, and it's completely preventable.
Yeah.
Do you think that grace from the jury is a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, I think that our jury system is the best in the world. And I think there's a reason why we allow juries to make these decisions. Of course, that brings with it all kinds of biases, even biases, that we don't know that we have.
To some degree, that's the point, though, right? Because if it was just complete objectivity, there would be no mercy, no
Right.
grace.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not faulting a jury for ever, sentencing someone too low. I mean, they heard the facts and they made the decision,
Right.
and that's the way our system is set up. That's why we have the Seventh Amendment that says that we can sue and bring a jury trial on any case with a controversy over $20. So absolutely, we should have juries and we should respect the decisions that they make. Now we can limit the decisions juries can make. We can couch them in and say, minimum sentence of 5 years, maximum of 10. Or
I think once you get more than one DUI, it's like,
right.
okay, are you really getting it or not?
Right.
I think about a lot of our clients, a lot of them have DUIs.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they'll be lying to their probation officer saying that they're doing the program when they're not.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, can you give me a letter for attendance? I'm like, you haven't even shown up. That happened last month. We're like, what? No.
Right.
It becomes enabling too.
It's enabling. Yeah. And so I'm hearing kind of like the people that are representing, the attorneys representing like our clients basically, are appealing to the enabling jury and like that side of them that's more like
Right.
empathetic and they're gonna get it right, like
Yeah.
but they're not seeing that like usually, I'm not say usually, but sometimes people are not doing the right things.
I thought it was interesting, the number 2, you said an average of 7 times.
I think that's the data. Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
interesting.
the average data of a relapse before somebody
It's
actually sustains
relapse, it's
sobriety.
domestic violence relapse as well. Going back to an abuser, human trafficking is a little higher. But that's 7 is weird.
Yeah.
That seems to be a threshold for a lot of
A lot of relapses on things. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, I think we all, are close to at least one person who's had a DWI, and we don't think that they're a bad person for that. So I'm not here to demonize anybody.
Yeah.
But I know that our current system is broken.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I work a lot with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and I talk to a lot of families, and I go to the events, and I don't think that, for the most part, I don't think that these families who have lost loved ones, usually that's who's hanging out at the MAD events, are necessarily wanting to see everybody get life in prison for their first DWI offense.
Yeah.
But, they'll slap on the wrist, let's pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
Outcomes are probably not helping fix the systemic problem that we have.
Yeah. I was just talking to one of our therapists about the concept of like overshooting consequences or behaviors. And so it's just more about the middle ground of like, what's a healthy consequence for a DUI, instead of like, life in prison or like a slap on the wrist. Like, what's the middle ground there that they learn the lesson? A lot of people in recovery will say, jails, hospitals, institutions, like that's what gets you sober a lot of the times for people who are really hard in it. And so you really do need some kind of wake up call, maybe not life in prison, but some kind of like
significant
cell or significant change that slaps you in the face.
This San Antonio case I'm working on right now, I know how the crash happened. The guy was driving the wrong way and hit my clients. So I know that, and he was drunk and probably high because there was cocaine found in the vehicle as well. We haven't gotten a tox screen back yet to see what was in his blood. But one of the first things I want to know after I know how the crash happened is, why did it happen? Like, what led the defendant to this point?
Right.
And so I went back and, I'm looking at his criminal history and I'm looking at civil filings, and sure enough, there was like this strong correlation. Like, you look at when he went through a divorce, and then all this criminal stuff starts happening. And I'm not saying one caused the other. It could have been that there was an addiction abuse issue that caused the divorce.
Yeah.
And then subsequently he started getting caught.
Yeah.
definitely correlation, not necessarily causation.
There's something started happening around that
Yeah.
time period
Yeah.
when he got his divorce, and it just has snowballed since
Yeah.
then. It's getting worse.
Yeah.
And I'm not trained to look at any of that.